All right. Thank you very much. That's first of all for coming on and sharing your sought after wisdom with us.
Well, I don't know how useful it's going to be. Most of all my growth and stuff has been almost accidental,
Right, right.
because I'm
But the
just
key,
thorough as a photographer.
right. So the thing is, a lot of people think that. So you're right. It is accidental, but you accidentally did smart things. So that's what we're gonna hopefully glean from your mind, and your experimentation and your accidents, whatever that built your group, will hopefully lead other people that also want to serve. Because that's the one thing. Just I've interviewed a few people already, and the one common thing is that they all started their group just to really help. And I think that is the biggest mistake most people make when they start a group is that it's not to help.
There's that, and I think the biggest mistake people make is twofold in that they don't have a supportive team. You have to have a team of people, and I could not run this even remotely how it's run without. I have like over 20 people working with me on this, and
Oh,
then on
wow.
top of that, you can at least I feel strongly about this, is you can only have one admin. I've seen groups fall apart because they've had more than one admin and one deletes the group, or they go to war with each other.
That's crazy. I've seen that.
So,
The admin just knocks everyone else out.
so what I do is I run the whole thing as a team. Major decisions are made by the whole team. Pretty much we're all equals is how I see it. But I've seen the civil wars even in my team happen before, and I've kept everyone below me as a moderator solely to keep any detrimental civil war that'll actually destroy the group from
Right.
happening.
Right.
And I have a good team. Anyone that joins has been voted on by all the members of the team. If anyone says no on someone, they don't get in. Uh,
Oh, cool. All right. So I'm very excited to hear about that. Also, so you have two profiles though. William, I guess we'll talk about it in the interviews. William and Bill.
well, no, what happened with that is uh, there are entire groups that I would almost say are made up of people I've kicked out or booted for being trolls. And over the years, I mean, even just recently, I found I had one picture on my personal profile that was not set to private, and I had people insulting me on the unrelated picture from like 5 years ago because it was the only thing they could find to, throw some insults at me. And I had my business page was getting trolled on, poor reviews. I was getting attacked quite frequently. So I established a page to kind of take the brunt of that Bill. I have a Bill Duncan photographer page, and that was totally established solely to deal with trolls. And I put out things on there occasionally. I've been putting a lot of the coronavirus updates on there because I have a platform where I can get information out, and I feel that there's a responsibility to try and do that.
Right.
So
Wow.
the William
So,
Duncan's my personal profile,
uh,
and I've slowly migrated to running things through a page, which it makes things a lot easier to both put things out across multiple groups and to bear the brunt of internet trolls.
wow. That is not. I mean, that's a good sign that you're doing a good job. If
Hmm.
people hate you that much.
Oh yeah, there's at least one group, and they probably hate to know it, but I got people in there. So when I see people go off on me in the insult group or plan anything, I just block all of those individuals I find, and they need a life. I'm here to help people learn photography, and I've been fairly successful at it. And I do it because I've learned it as a way of dealing with my wartime deployments. And I tell people a lot of veterans pick up a bottle. I picked up a camera, and I think the camera was way more expensive in terms of cost, but it's a lot more positive. Like the picture behind me is up near Mosul in Iraq.
What? So one second, you snapped that?
Oh yeah, that's my picture. I
Oh
took
wow.
that in late 2016 in south of Mosul on my last deployment.
Wow. So 1 second. So you were in the
I was
army.
actually running it, and I was helping people, and a lot of them didn't know. I was helping. I'd even help edit photos. And I'm in Iraq in a tent.
That is crazy.
Hmm.
Wow. So how long have you been deployed for?
Well, that was my last deployment, so that ended in 2017. Um, but you know, you can't just abandon everything
Right.
when you deploy. So, I'm done with all that stuff now.
People, people hate on you and they troll you, but like if you would walk outside and and like stand up, thank you, sir, for protecting our country.
Yeah, which is the
So
most uncomfortable question we can be asked.
yeah.
It's there's never a good answer uh, to that. You'll see the one behind me. That's oil fire smoke over a sunset.
Wow.
The
So
oil
you
wells burned for 6 months while I was out there. In fact, here are the oil fields.
what?
I was out there. I got to work with the Associated Press and Reuters and photographers from the British Telegraph. And some of the few pictures I have of myself from out there were actually taken by like a Reuters photographer because I loaned him a lens. He came out. I'm like, why don't you try this? This is nice. And it was a nice opportunity. I mean, I wasn't out there necessarily to take pictures, but I
Right.
mean, I was teaching. They had a combat photographer out there, so I was teaching him, which I find hilarious. Um, the combat photography school, I think, is too short for the amount of information required to really learn the trade. But the guy, he had some talent, and he did quite well. I'd like to think that I helped him become better from that.
Yeah. And are you the only guy there with like a side hobby to kill free
Oh,
time?
everyone's got their hobbies.
Oh yeah.
Um, I got into photography when I was on the border of Syria in 2006, and the sunsets were nice, and had a little point and shoot camera. So, from then I slowly kept getting into it, and every deployment I seemed to get a lot better. Um, I think it's because not only practice, but when it becomes your way of dealing with things, you sink more of yourself into it as you have more to deal with. And I've deployed quite a few times overseas, and it is what it is. I
Yeah,
think
man.
I've dealt with it very positively. Uh, like I said, a lot of veterans pick up a bottle. I picked up a camera.
Yeah, and have you had those experiences? Like whatever, this is not, on our topic, but I'm just
Oh
fascinated.
yes, I had a hard landing in a C-131 tour that because I had a hydraulic failure over the Persian Gulf. We had to run from the plane. I've been shot at numerous times. Uh, Small arms, rockets, mortars. Nothing's hit, thankfully. Um, but I mean, it was to the point where I watched my last tour. I watched shrapnel hit the ground and go ding. So I went and picked it up, and I have a piece of shrapnel as a souvenir. You get used to it. In fact, during the last tour, I realized something, which is a big reason why I won't ever deploy again. And I called it quits. I'm too comfortable in a war zone. It felt like I was coming home flying into Baghdad, and it should never feel like you're coming home. So you pictures of me. In fact, I'll see if I can put one up. Um, Off base without body armor, which is not something you should do. Um, but you know, it's just it's hard to really explain what it's like in a war zone. I know it's not really the topic.
No, yeah, but I'm all ears for this.
Um, Let me see what I can find. First off, let's find a really bad picture of me. See,
Is that
there were
possible?
no barbers in in Iraq during that tour. So let me find my horrible 1970s hair. There we go. Oh well, it's not going to show. It's
You're
not going
not
to
in good
show it on
hands.
that. Um, I'll just put a nice background of what it looks like over there. That I can do. Well, I won't exactly call it a nice background. Let's see if that works. There you go. That's a blown up building.
Oh wow. Just like in the video games.
You know, sadly, yes.
Very
Um,
good.
but you only get one life.
Right.
There's a harsh way of looking at things, but it's true. Um, Over the years, I've deployed a lot, and I also think helping people is another way that I deal with things. You know, so all the various groups kind of spun off over time to either give some of the moderators their own little piece. Like I have a great Sony expert named Ricky. He's great, and I rip on Sony a lot because I just don't like that. I don't like how their build quality. I don't like how they build cameras. Great sensors.
Right.
I don't think their cameras are really that good, but people still need advice on with Sony related stuff, and he's been helping for years. So I started a Sony Photographers for Beginners, and he's running that as well. And I pop in every now and then, pop in a message, but to kind of give everyone their own little slice. I have these little subgroups, and then when there's specific brand questions and people want to go there, they can go there. Now, what's been funny is
Right.
I have people that are in these subgroups that aren't in the main group, and probably half of them don't even know it exists, which is hilarious to me because they just went for, I shoot with the Canon. I want a group for Canon. So now I have these subgroups that are also growing with different memberships. And I do advertise for the subscription group in all of them, which completely, I ignored Facebook for about a year, I guess. They've been emailing me about it, and I hadn't noticed. It was in my spam folder. So then I finally responded to Facebook. It's like, yeah, I mean, I do this anyways. If you want to pay me for it, fine. But, to be able to do that honestly, I felt I had to provide a lot more. Otherwise, but just paying me for what I do already is not a lot of fun. Um, so I started producing a lot of material, and I have specific experts in there. I even have a wonderful painter. Who's been painting 40 years, and she works quite extensively in Los Angeles and in California, who I grew up knowing, who is now in there, and she gives advice. So I have photographers that have worked for major magazines, anywhere from Playboy and Maxim, like all the. So if you need the portraiture advice, we got a guy for that, and I have all the different areas covered. Whereas I would say my best work is probably my war photography, which isn't much in call for, but I shoot everything as well. So I can shoot everything. I'd say my weakest area is probably artificial lighting, such as flash or strobe, because I just don't use it a lot. Um, though I've been successful when I have used it, it's not my area of expertise. So I have a guy who's an expert in lighting. He's got a master's in photography that helps me run things. So
Right. So you don't really have to be the expert in everything. You're already an expert in enough things and have created enough network that you could grow this
well,
to millions
it,
of people.
it's the thing is, it, a good music teacher doesn't have to play in the symphony. There's a difference between teaching and doing. Now, I would put my photography up probably against anyone, honestly, out there. I would take a crack if I were in a competition against any photographer in the world and think that I at least have a shot because I'm good. I'm good at what I do. Um, I don't think I'm the best because I'm not really full of myself, but I do acknowledge that I have wowed enough Associated Press photographers, writer photographers. I've wowed enough professionals that I feel that I'm pretty good at this point.
And you have a lot of followers.
Yeah, so
So,
I'm a jack of all trades, and I'm good in pretty much all of them. But I wouldn't say I'm a master of anything, because one, you should never stop learning, and I won't ever stop learning. There's always boundaries to be pushed, and two, because in order to become a master of any one, it's usually at the expense of the rest, and I kind of push out in all directions equally. You know, I, I could show you a picture of an ant's teeth, for instance, but I'm not an expert in macro photography. I'm just fairly good at it. And in fact, I'll put that up because why not? I've got
ant's
one.
teeth, not your ant. No.
No, no, an
I
actual
don't,
ant.
I don't know which one is more appetizing.
Well, I would say that this is one of my creepier pictures because ants don't have teeth, which is fine. Then someone needs to explain this picture because all I did was take it.
Wow.
I mean,
I just watched Ant-Man and Wasp, so like, you know, I'm all into ants right now.
that was an experiment I did a couple of years back just to see how close I could get to take a picture of an ant. And I was pretty happy with that. It
The
was the light.
detail here is unbelievable.
Yeah, the light wasn't really perfect, so that's why it's got some image noise in there.
This
I was
this
shooting
is
it handheld instead of a tripod, and usually for macro stuff you want to use a tripod, but ants don't stop moving, so there's no way unless you kill them, to which I wasn't going to do it that way. I wouldn't have gotten this picture, so I had to just follow them with the camera. Real pain in the butt.
wow. Wow, but this is worth it. I've never seen a picture like this ever.
Oh, I've got a lot of pictures that are
It just like gives an
unusual.
ant personality. I don't know. I viewed ants, I know they're alive, but I
If you
never
shoot
like
a flash at them, and I found this out through experimentation, if the flash is fairly close, they scream at you. Or at least it looks that way in the picture. Like they get ready to fight if a flash goes off because I think it overwhelms their senses. And I
oh
felt kind of
yeah.
bad about that.
I never experimented with that. I'll take my iPhone out and check
Well,
that out.
yeah, I don't think you'll be able to do it with an iPhone. You gotta get yourself
Oh,
an actual, get yourself
oh,
a
it has to be
camera.
an actual uh
No way to avoid that. I did a test not too long ago because I wanted to prove a point, and I went on eBay, and I found a 2003 DSLR with 6.3 megapixels, and I shot it against my Samsung Galaxy 8 S8 Plus, and I kicked the shit out of my Galaxy with an old 2003 DSLR, and that's because no matter what you do, there's nothing you can do to make a cell phone compete with a DSLR because the limitation factor for any camera is not necessarily the sensor, it's the lens.
wow.
The lens determines your sharpness, your resolution, the character of your image, and
So it'll never be
even if you
replaced.
add a lens to a phone, it's a lens on top of a lens because there's an inherent lens you can't remove. And then the pixel size determines a lot with image quality, and the pixels are tiny on a phone. So
Right.
even, even that 6.3 megapixel that I paid $35 for easily wasn't even a contest. Easily beat one of the latest cell phones at the time, and it would beat the current iPhone. It beat them all.
Yeah, wow. That is amazing. How did you take this picture?
Oh, this one, I put flash inside of a candle lantern, and I keyed it, and the candle lantern had green glass uh, as the glass encasing it. So when the flash went off, it lit up the subject.
Wow.
It's a Halloween, one of
Th-
my Halloween pictures.
Okay, that is really cool. Okay, wow. So this is really cool stuff. All right. Okay, fine. So There's more to you than just 115,000 members in Facebook groups.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of Facebook books out there. But I mean, I'm very involved in really everything. And I've done a lot of it, and it's not something that's really, I don't talk about it or advertise it. By the way, that's the 6.3 megapixel camera picture. That's one of them. Um,
Man, I
so
can't do that on my phone.
I don't really advertise much, but I mean, there was one of those major shootings where the son killed his sister and then shot up a school or something.
Okay,
It it
yeah.
was it was last year, and you know I had found the sister's page, and I noticed that she had taken some really nice sunset pictures. So I raised a little bit of money on my page, and the posts are all on there. And I hired a retoucher because I had to work off a Facebook-sized image, which is a very low quality. And the retoucher increased the image size without really losing much in the way of quality. And I ordered prints, and I had a member that was in the area and got me the address to the parents, and I
Wow.
sent, and they have no idea. I never heard back or anything. Out of nowhere, a couple of prints of their daughter's who's deceased pictures arrived at their door, and I kind of wonder like how it went, because I mean
That
doing
is
all that really wasn't
that is
cheap.
so nice. That is really something else.
I've had members that, you know, I had one that was really mad at me for some reason, and I felt that it was an overreaction. So I figured there was something behind it. She was mad because I don't really allow cell phone pictures for the most part, and she was furious. And then it came out in a blurt that she was a victim of childhood sexual abuse, and this was her way of dealing with it. So I bought her a camera. I literally went onto eBay. I said, "Give me a shipping address. I don't need doesn't need to be your home address, just wherever you could pick up the camera." And I sent her a Nikon camera that I found for a decent price, and she now has a camera. Now she can post following the rules. It's like I can't change the rules for one person,
Wow.
but and I can't do this often, but I got her a camera. And there have been a few times I've done stuff like that, uh, you know, where, you know, I've raised money, or right now I've been trying to organize an effort
I
to
saw.
be able to sell my work to, and anyone who wants to donate their work to raise money for the coronavirus response. But despite numerous emails to both photography publications, print shops, uh, none of them really hit back as being interested. And I understand most photographers are out of work right now, and I get that. But a lot of us have a lot of work built up over the years, and they're thinking about it wrong. They're thinking that they're losing money by selling, say, five of their prints, or the rights to print 5 times or something. What they should be thinking about is this is a great opportunity for advertisement. And I don't know why
Right.
they're not thinking about it like that, because to
Right.
me, that's fairly obvious.
Right. A lot of people are doing that. You know, they're putting their services out there for free to help,
Yep.
and then, you know, they're helping, and
Jared
then they
Poland, who runs a YouTube, Frono's Photos, which is one of the I I'm of two minds. All the information he puts out is really good, and I think he's one of the better technical photographers for advice, because there's a lot of nonsense on YouTube. But he is a little too self-promoting for me, so it, it's almost like a cartoon level amusement of how he runs his YouTube. So despite the you know, he's got this big old fro, and it's fronosphotos.com, but all of his information is really good. He
uh,
understands advertisement, and he's given a lot of his stuff away for free. And I'm not stupid. That's smart, because it gets him free publicity. It makes everyone think about him in a kinder light, and that's good. And I absolutely think he's doing it because he's a good person as well. Just like, I mean,
right.
that's why I do everything.
Right.
Uh, you know, I'm kind of a purist in that I don't, if I recommend a piece of equipment, I never use an affiliate link. a lot of places, in fact, I would say almost entirely, you go on any YouTube review and they're going to have an affiliate link because they're going to make money off that purchase. But if you're making money off a purchase, if I'm making money off a purchase you make, you cannot trust that I have given you objective advice. It's to me, that's fairly obvious. If I have a dog in the fight, you know, you don't trust me. But if I'm not making anything from that purchase, then it's objective advice, and that's what you really want. So, for years I made no money off all the groups because I wasn't gonna I guess sell out like that. I wasn't gonna. The only way you could really do it for many years was you'd use affiliate links. Well, I tell most people to buy used on eBay to save money, and even if they had an affiliate link, I wouldn't use it. So when Facebook
Wow.
approached me to do the subscription group last year, in fact, a year ago now, we jumped up to 300 members almost overnight, and growth was fairly continuous until the coronavirus, and then a number of members that were struggling financially were going to have to leave. I was able to switch them over to have free memberships for the duration because I don't want to price anyone out of photography either. And I tell people there's a free week trial, and there's no strings attached. You can join. You could download every single thing I have produced from the file section. And in fact, I would rather you do that, even if you're going to leave. Download it all and then leave. So you at least got something out of it.
Wow.
Don't spread it around is all I ask, but I'm not going to, I'm going to produce more stuff anyways. So if you want the next generation stuff, come back to the group.
You know what? You should be put in the Webster's dictionary. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, but an example of you still get trolled. And like,
Well,
like,
I'm also known for being fairly blunt in my opinions, and that's because I was in the Marine Corps. It is what it is. So, a lot of people buy junk. I mean, a lot of people buy junk. Canon sells 75 to 300 that's junk. Worst lens, I think, produced in the modern era. It's just horrible. If you put it on a 24 megapixel camera, you're going to get 6 megapixels. Literally, that's what the lab test says. And the lab tests never lie. Science doesn't lie. So I tell people, it's like, look, first thing you want to do is throw the doorstop out, and I'll find you something that won't cost a lot of money. It may be old. I know great lenses from the 80s that still have autofocus that are sharp, and blow it away. It's not even close in the same focal range. So spend a little bit of money, get something actually nice. But there are individuals that, they don't want to admit that they bought something bad, I guess. I don't know. They take things personally when I'm not being personal. When I have an argument, I back it with solid data. I will track down all the data and I'll post it in my responses because I've done the research and I have the data in front of me. Because when you're giving empty responses or empty advice not backed by data, how do you know it's right? When I read something, I'll go out and I'll research to make sure. I did a whole 6 months of testing on the whole concept of micro contrast just because I wanted to verify to myself that some studies that I read were correct. And it's a hard thing to test. So I went and I tested it, and part of that was going back 100 years worth of lenses. My oldest lens that I use is from 1898, and I've adapted it to modern DSLRs. In fact, I have one of the very first model, the first model actually, Zeiss lenses, and I've adapted that to modern Canon. And in fact, recently I managed to make it autofocus, which took me a long time to figure out. But here is a picture of the lens. There we go. So that is an 1898 lens.
It does look like it.
And I can use that on a modern DSLR. Now, what did surprise me is I had assumed that this would be my very worst lens, and it's not. It's not my best.
How does that make sense?
But it should be my worst given its age. However, It's
No way.
not my worst.
No way.
I
Whoever
know,
made that did
it's
not
pretty
ever
nice, isn't it?
think that that picture would be captured with it.
Yeah, that was my first time testing it, and that dragonfly stood out there for a while for me. And then I've since, because of the imperfections, and a lot of the times you use a vintage lens for its imperfections because you can't get the character on a modern one because there are nice things like lens coatings that you can't get things like that.
Right.
You know, it the imperfections are what sell it, and that's why you'll see a lot of Hollywood producers out there have sets of vintage lenses as well and still use them, and a lot of filmmakers use them, which I have offered locally to allow filmmakers to use any lenses of mine that they want, and I have yet to have one take me up on it. But I'm surprised because I mean I have the first portrait lens, I have the first Zeiss lens, I have my oldest lens period is from 1870, and it was the first company, the first photography company, Voigtlander. It's one of their actual brand portrait lenses from 1870, and those are really hard to come by.
And how do you
So
get them?
eBay, eBay.
No.
I had to watch for some of these things because some of them are kind of rare or they're exceedingly expensive. The Voigtlander lenses may go for 2,000 every day, but I waited until I saw one I could get for 400, and that was still expensive for a lens that old. But I was never going to get one if I didn't at least. That was an
Right.
opportunity, and I
Right.
got quite the deal because it's worth more than 400. It's probably worth 4 times that.
Wow.
So
Okay, really
I
cool.
just lucked out one time. I'd been watching for well over a year.
Right. That's all you have to do. You have to spend a lot of time looking for it.
Yeah, that Zeiss lens cost me $150, and I'd been watching them for years, but they were always $900, $800. I wasn't going to spend that. And then I got lucky and someone mislabeled it. They mislabeled their sale and I ran across it. And so I got it for $100. I bought that right away. And it works just fine.
What?
I mean, I've gotten some great shots with it. And I've since made an autofocus adapter by pulling the glass out of a 1980s macro lens that focuses solely by moving the front element forward and away. Well, those old lenses focus solely by moving a bellows forward and away, right? So when I
Yeah.
ripped all the glass out, I attached it to the front. It thinks that lens is the lens because there's no electrical contacts to glass, and it will focus, autofocus, with an 1898 lens.
No way.
And
So
that was a concept I'd been meaning to prove.
wow. So
I
you
have the only one for Canon.
you could patent that.
Well, I mean, I used Canon's lens. I really wish they would just make it so I don't have to like glass out of something to make it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
this is a great opportunity for them to expand their market, to be honest, because there's a huge vintage lens market. It's been blowing up for years. Mirrorless cameras in particular, everyone wants to run all these vintage lenses. Canon's just jumped into that full frame mirrorless market. If they came out with an autofocus adapter for these old bellows lenses, it's not going to compete with their good glass, but they're going to get a lot of people that buy it solely so they can have that adapter.
Right. Right.
They'd sell thousands of cameras.
Right.
It'd be a ridiculous amount of money they would make. But that's outside the box thinking, and
Right.
I don't necessarily think Canon's the best at that. In
Seems
fact,
like you're very good at it.
I've always been very good at that. I would say that's one of my strengths. But let me see if I could find a picture of that quick autofocus adapter for you. I get a huge kick out of that thing. Let's see. Here we go. It's fast. I could use it for video. I could use it for sports. I'm actually going to use it for sports. I'm just waiting for my opportunity. I'm going to do a sports shoot with an 1898 lens just because I can.
I like that. I like that. All right. By the
And,
way, what you said before with people getting upset at you for
oh
knocking
yeah,
their
tons
lens.
of them.
So there is a term for that. It's a classic irrational behavior called sunken cost fallacy.
It doesn't surprise me. I've even had death threats.
Well,
Yeah, I've had death threats. One person sent me a picture of their poop and
because
told me
you
to eat
not because
shit.
you made fun of their camera.
Uh, No, that person was because I didn't approve their post. Because I have posting guidelines and they're very clear. They're the
Right.
first post in the group normally. Right now, I think I have a coronavirus post up
Yeah.
instead because I want to do this charity thing really badly. But normally, the first post everyone sees are these are the rules, and they're fairly strict because there's too many people to have it be open. That's why this post approval, because it used to not have post approval, but I saw that the group was getting just
Right.
flooded and people were not never getting answers to important questions because everyone was posting 30 pictures of their cat for no reason. So the purpose of the group is educational in nature. So
Right.
I kept people from just, there are no photo drop posts. If you're not asking for advice on how you did, it won't get approved. If it doesn't have settings, it won't get approved
Right.
because I've kept it on that track for learning. It's a learning group, and
Right.
that's why it's been more successful than other photo groups. You could go into the other photo groups and you'll see it's a mess. They may even have a lot of members, but it's all disorganized and it's not the community that I've managed to put together. And that's the difference. And there's tons
Right.
of just bad info that gets put out.
Right. Right. That is 100% true, but it's scary. I mean, it just puts it up in your face that if you want to start a Facebook group, be prepared to deal with this. First of all,
Eventually, yeah.
have strict
It's
rules.
yeah, if you don't have strict rules, it'll eat you alive. If you don't have a team that you can trust, it will eat you alive. And it's important that the team get along. Make sure everyone votes on each other because if they don't, and you start getting factions, and this I know this through experience. I had a civil war in my mods a couple of years ago, and I blocked a bunch of them from the group because I mean I don't want to say I picked a side, but the nastier side lost because there's no reason to be nasty and backbite. So the drama can get out of hand. So you have to all get along. You have to be a team. You have to be friends. And there's no hard feelings if someone stops being a mod. I had plenty that just got tired of it and quit being mods. Is still in the group. I've had friends that were mods that left the group, are in other photo groups, but they just don't want to be in the beginners group anymore because they're not at that level. That's fine. Still friends. You
Right.
know, people move on, people evolve, but as the team grows, you
Right.
keep adding people.
So how do you find these people?
I ask the group of moderators if they notice anyone that they think would be a good mod usually, or if
Mm,
I've noticed, I ask, hey, do you have a problem with this individual? And I've had them say, I don't know that person, no, and then that person has become a mod because I'm not going to override them. Now I may put them in as a mod in the subgroup,
right.
like the Canon photography for beginners is where I tend to test people out first if it's coming from my direction. If they do well there, then other people can say, yeah, I've seen him, I've worked with him, a good guy, and I've taken that route. But decisions have to be a team effort in terms of the admin team's membership,
Right.
or you're going to end up with factions and civil war and drama, and the group will fall apart. Period.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Right. So how did you get involved in Facebook groups?
Well, I got kicked out of a few photo groups because I didn't have blunt opinions again. And I initially started my own, and I shut that down, and then I joined this group when it had very few members. And I quickly became a moderator. I started as a moderator, and then the admin, he quit. Like he quit the group, and then I took it over probably at maybe 15,000 members or something. Eh, He wasn't really a photographer anyways. He quit because he couldn't make money off of it. And that was all he was trying to do. He had the group for the wrong reason. He had a Patron set up. He was doing all these videos. This is the first video I think I've ever done. So he was doing videos, and he was never making money because he didn't really help people. He just kind of had started the group.
But he was
So
able to grow it to 15,000.
yeah, but I mean,
So
that just
how did
takes
he do it?
time.
Right. Right.
You could not pay attention to a photo group and make it to 15,000 in probably less than a year.
Just by leaving it up.
Yeah, just leaving it up and having the occasional post. I mean, That's not hard. I mean, the Canon photography group for beginners group is less than 6 months old, and it's at about 10,000 people.
And you just put it up.
Yeah.
But do they come from your group though?
No, I would
No?
say a majority probably don't. It's
Okay.
people that went looking for a photography group for Canon because they
Right.
didn't think to just, to me, that's kind of closed-minded. They didn't even think to say, hey, I'll just go find a good photography group. I'll just go find one specific to my brand. That's closed-mindedness, and I don't think that's necessarily the best way to go about it. But, I mean, yeah, uh, it's easy to grow it to that point. So I took it over, and that's when I ended up having the moderator Civil War slightly thereafter. I inherited all his moderators, which is fine. We'd worked together for a long time. The initial thing was when I took it over, one was butthurt that I took it over and went off on me crazy. And I think I don't blame her. She actually had some mental health issues, and I understand that. Uh, I think in particular bipolar, which totally understandable. Big swings in emotion totally
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense. So after the little moderator Civil War, I started putting together the team how I would put it together. You know, being from the military, you're family, and I look at things like that. The whole team has to be like a family. They have to all get along and be friends. And that's been kind of my goal. So I've slowly grown it. I wait until they tell me we need more moderators, or I say, hey, do we need any more help? And then when we do, I'm like, is there anyone you have in mind? Who do you want? Who stands out? Okay, does anyone have a problem with that person? No? Cool. Let's see if they want the job. So before they even get approached by me, I've already have vetted them, usually. Like a lot of groups, they'll go and ask, okay, I need moderators. Who wants to put in an application? That's the wrong answer. You get someone who wants power for power's sake if you do it that way. The way I did it is I look at people who are helping people in the group, who are a positive influence and are contributing in a positive nature, and I ask the people who probably don't want the extra work uh, if they want to do it, and I do it after everyone else has agreed, and that's been very successful for me. I've really had no problem since doing that, and then the group has kept growing, almost a completely continuous, nonstop for years to 100,000. I will say though, coronavirus has caused me a slight drop in membership, and my growth has slowed substantially. But I'm pretty sure that's temporary. But I saw an actual drop in membership, and I only see drops in membership for three things. Three things will cause my memberships to drop. One, I see someone say something against either gay people, women, something sexist, and so I make the group photo whatever is going to piss off people that discriminate against those individuals. Like I put a picture of a gay couple up there right after someone went off on a gay wedding, and I said, okay, who hates this? And everyone that hated it, I kicked.
Uh-huh.
I look at it as an opportunity to clean house. So that's one reason. Two, I have so many members that I can spot when Facebook cleans out Russian trolls. Literally, I can spot it. I will see a very dramatic and fast spike down on memberships, and then it'll immediately go back to the same growth. And that is when, and every now and then I've noticed that they'll say they cleaned out Russian accounts. Like I can go search for it after the fact and identify that that's what causes that. So I can watch Facebook's anti-Russian troll response, and I know when they're cleaning house.
Okay,
And
cool.
then coronavirus is the third.
All right, so it's three for now.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully for forever, just three.
Well, I mean, it's to the point where I was gaining over 1,000 a month. I'd say in a week I gain about 800 members on average.
And they
But
just come to you. You don't do anything to reach out.
yeah, they just come to me at this point, and I probably don't approve 80% of them to join because there are a lot of bots out there for one. So I have a questionnaire up that has you include this word in your answer because that helps filter out bots. But the bots, they learn. I started to notice. See, I'll change the questions in the word, and people still use the original word in the answer, and I know
No
that's a
way.
bot. Yeah, I've seen that as well. So
Wow.
I also don't allow new Facebook accounts. Account has to be at least a year old. Um, you know, originally it was I was concerned that the original admin, because he did try to come back at some point, but then it came out while he was gone, one of the female moderators had been sexually harassed by him, and she was a rape victim. And
Oh, okay.
I mean, my instinct was if I could find him to beat the hell out of him. But you know what? I was nice since it's funny. I was the only male moderator. Yeah, makes sense, right? I was the only male moderator of this guy, and he was sexually harassing at least one of them. Like this dude was kind of a piece of now he's a psychic. I'm not even kidding. He's a psychic on Facebook. So I mean, he was kind of a con artist. Con artist. So when he tried to come back, I didn't want anyone to say that I had been a tyrant. So I put it to the female moderators to vote on whether he was allowed to come back, and then I kicked him and blocked him after they made their decision. Um,
Very strategic move.
yeah, and I mean, there are individuals that take advantage of people and are predatory online. And that's why I don't allow a lot of YouTube videos. I don't allow people to post their groups, because I can't go through, I don't have the time to filter the predatory ones. There's so many people that are just trying to find ways to take your money. I try to take people's money one way. I'm up front about it. It's a subscription group. The real value is over the long term. I also produce all these lessons, but you gain access to all these experienced photographers that are going to mentor you and help you. That's the only way that I try to make money. I probably help 10,000 people a year find equipment on eBay cheap, literally. Because I mean, daily, every single day, I'm finding people every day, finding people equipment. Um, I'm saving people combined. I probably saved hundreds of thousands of dollars for people. They're gonna go spend $2,000. Like, no, spend 600 over here. The only way I have that I make money in terms of the Facebook is the lessons group. And the lessons group is that paid subscription group. And it was only because I had so many members in my photography group that Facebook's like, hey, dude, you want to make some money? Like, sure. And it's been very successful. And I'd be willing to bet that my membership has remained more stable than other subscription groups through the loyalty. There's a lot of personal loyalty that I've built just because I help people. And anyone who sends me a message asking for help, to this date, I respond to and I help without fail.
Wow. Wow.
And I advise. And they don't have to be a member of my paid group for that. It's just, oh, you need help? Cool. Yeah, don't buy that. Go buy this. And they won't even ask me if they shouldn't buy that. Like, no, that's not a good buy. Go buy this. And I've helped a lot of people over the years. And, I've tried to do as much of the charity stuff as I can. I don't sell my old gear. I give it away to people that have learned from me. My camera that I had in Iraq, which is a Canon 6D, is in Brazil now because I actually the shutter broke when I was over there, but it got fixed. But I sent it to an individual in Brazil who I've helped teach over time, who's very talented in terms of his hummingbird pictures, and he's really good. In fact, I'm gonna put one of his pictures up because I really like his work. But the economy in Brazil isn't the economy in the United States, and the camera market is ridiculously stupid expensive over there, and it shouldn't be. Like a $400 camera will sell for $1,000 in Brazil, because if I try to send it internationally, the taxes will make it $1,000 anyways. It's really weird how their system is. So I just sent, I sent one down there, and let me just hurry up and find his picture. I know I've got it on here. Let's see. So I sent it down there along with a few lenses, and other members of the group have also done the same. So he has like a pro kit now that people have sent him over time, which is awesome. You know, it's people coming together and really just
And
helping
helping
each
out.
other.
Right. Yeah, that is beautiful. That is
So,
beautiful.
okay, here we go. Now, which one was, let's go with this one. So here's one of his pictures. You know, just a beautiful shot. And
So
he didn't
what
even,
is that's a blade of grass?
there's a blade of grass and there's a plant, there's a little flower here.
Yeah.
I mean, I absolutely love everything he did with it. And he doesn't realize how good it is. And I showed that painter that had been painting for, you know, longer than I've been alive. She's extremely talented. She loved it. And if she likes it, we're talking classically trained, you know, paints murals for people in Beverly Hills. Like this is an extremely amazing. Her name's Gilda Demi, and she's an amazing artist. She loved it, and I screenshotted that comment. I sent it right to him because he doesn't have confidence in how good his work is. I'm like, dude, you should be shooting what? He's good enough to shoot weddings. He's good enough to. I mean, let alone this is just a small
Yeah.
plant.
Wow.
This is a snapshot. He took 5 seconds to take this.
Wow. So
And it's
has he worked off that success?
Nope, I'm still pushing him. I'm gonna keep pushing him. And I mean, right now he had a wedding that he was gonna shoot, but then coronavirus. But once it's finished, you know, he will be very successful. You know, he's actually British, but his wife's Brazilian, and his wife's a psychiatrist in Brazil, and they have like a coffee farm. So he sells like coffee at the Starbucks.
Wow.
And actually he's a chemist, a PhD in chemistry is his background. Oh, brilliant guy. Used to attend lectures by Stephen Hawking at Cambridge. Okay, this dude is smart, and he's also a great photographer. So you know when I saw that, you know, he wasn't gonna be able to get these things out there, a friend of his was gonna take no, his wife took a trip to the U.S. for a medical conference, and I got the address of where she was staying. I sent her a box, and it had a ton of gear, from a camera, lenses, and all that stuff went out to him, and now he uses it. So
Oh,
I always look at it as you can give back to your community. You know, I can make a little bit selling my stuff, but for the most part, cameras don't hold their value over time. My $1,600 camera then is only worth 400 now. So cool, I could maybe make $400. I put the effort and I go on eBay and so, but I'd much rather find someone that will benefit from it and be able to use it to grow as a photographer. So I mean,
right.
I've probably given away $5,000 worth of equipment
So how do
in
you
the
how do
last
you
couple
give
of
it
years.
away? So how do you give it away? Just
I mail it.
people.
I see
Who do you
someone
choose?
who needs it. Either I see their work and I see potential, and I know that they can't afford to realize their potential, and I try and push that along. Or that one lady who talked about her, you know, who went off on me. I knew something was wrong the second she said, you know, what was the cause. I'm like, okay, I can address this, and you know, I can help. And if you can't help, you should help. And helping never hurts, but not getting help can hurt a great deal. And so I've learned that overseas, and I try to apply that to my life.
Right. Yeah, and you do a great job.
Well, I like to think I do. So
Yeah.
there are entire groups that hate me so much. I've seen so much hate, and they're usually full of themselves photographers that are good enough that they don't have to be right in terms of science. Like you can have bad technique and take a good shot. The most important thing is composition, right? So you can have great shots and still be wrong. You know, just because it works for you doesn't mean that following the science won't work for you better.
Right. Right.
That's the disconnect. So generally the people that hate me, that's why they hate me. Like, well, no, that's a great lens. I'm like, no, it's a soft film lens from the 90s that shouldn't be made anymore because it's a piece of junk. And why would I buy something that performs like that new when I could buy something used for less that kicks the shit out of it because it's just better.
Right.
You know, optical science hasn't changed that much, but it has evolved, and not everything has aged well. You know, I have lenses from 1898 that did quite well. and outshot something I can go buy new in a store. That is unacceptable. Okay, anything that something 120 years old can beat shouldn't be sold in a store,
Right.
because we have computers now. You know, we have technology to make things good. You know, we shouldn't sell junk.
Right.
And
Right.
I'd say 90% of the hate I get is when I tell someone, you know, you bought junk, and don't take that the wrong way, but please don't recommend it, and I'll help you find something better if you want. But if you can offload that, oh, and I also tell people, you know, buy on eBay, not on Facebook Marketplace, ever, ever, because everything on Facebook Marketplace is not only overpriced, but there's no guarantee. But if you want to sell on Facebook Marketplace and raise your prices at least 20 to 30% above eBay prices, and it'll sell. Not even kidding, because people refuse it. People who buy on the marketplace never do their research. And
So do you ever sell in the marketplace?
nope, I don't sell. I
Oh,
give it
you
away.
don't sell, you give it away, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've given away cameras, lenses. I've given away pro lenses, like, you know, big white Canon lenses, you know, 70 to 200. I sent that to Brazil. So my sports lens for years, great sports lens. Well, I used it for shooting gymnastics. I sent him my sports lens because I felt that he could get a lot of really good use, because he liked to shoot hummingbirds. I'm like, man, this would be great for hummingbirds. So, you know, you could, now they're down to around $600-700. Now,
Right.
I sent it to him. Along, you know, he got quite a lot of equipment, and he knows how much they're worth. But you know, he's also on the mod team now. You know, he has been great for he helps people, and it's nice to be able to. I had another one. You know, I saw her pictures, and she's 15 years old. She had a picture of her dog, and it was quite good. Technically, I liked the picture. I'm like, she has a good eye, but she was using one of the worst prime lenses Canon makes, and man, she hated hearing that. And eventually, she listened to me and got the right lens. Last year, she was Pet Photographer of the Year for her age group in the UK. I mean,
That's solid.
she's so good that I think she's gonna probably, if she works at it, she's gonna be better than me. She's gonna be better than a lot of people. She has the potential to be amazing. Her name is Flora Wilson, and she's amazing. And her pictures, you know what? Since I got this up, I'll put one of her pictures up. Because I use her as an example for people who want to take pictures of their dog. And I mean, that seems to be all she does. But she's really, really good at it. And, you know, she's a great example for people. And I mean, she's at 16, she got Pet Photographer of the Year. That's ridiculous. I didn't even get into this until it was in my late 20s. I didn't even have an interest in photography. So let me find one of her ones that I like. This one. Oh, hold on, that zoomed in too much.
Zoomed up, yeah.
Well, I'll find one that doesn't zoom in too much. Let me find. How about this one? So
wow,
this is just one. This is one of her first pictures that I saw and I liked.
and this was with the bad lens.
Yeah, and I think this is the one that actually ended up winning. But the one with the good lenses, she shot for people that go to dog shows now, and she's 16. Let's see, well, this one will work. Yeah, you know, she has that vertical orientation that I think is what's defeating us here.
Right.
You know, she
I
just has
see
some
it.
wonderful.
I see it. I see the composition. I see the contrast.
So, you know, the potential that Flora had, you know, she got to there from this. This is like where she started.
That's really good also.
So yes, but she went from, I saw the potential, but then you saw the other compositions are much, much better.
Right.
And, you know, I put out a lot of lessons in composition. I have a bookmarked links specific to composition to help people learn, because it's not always an easy concept to grasp.
Right.
But in fact, since I also take pictures of my dogs, I'm gonna put one of mine up just so I don't feel left
Oh,
out.
that's a great picture.
Yes,
That is
yes. I
great.
have a lot of fun with it actually. That's my dog Spaz.
Wow.
She's a
Cute
good
dog.
puppy.
Yeah.
Now I took that with a $600 lens.
Right.
Anyone else would tell you you had to go spend $1,800, and this is actually a sharper lens and better for this. I also use it
Right.
for my zoo pictures, but I put so many hours. I've probably sunk 400 hours into researching optical science and studying lens design and studying a history of, say, Canon lenses, so I
Right.
could identify which ones are good. I have piles of books on. Some of them were written 100 years ago, so I have the foundation books,
Right.
and
So
I
you,
can't understand the math, but I don't need
right.
to understand the math to understand the principles behind everything. I'm
Right.
good
Right.
at that.
So you know your stuff.
Oh
That's, we
yeah,
could
oh
say
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Technically, as photographers go, in terms of knowledge of the science, I'm probably in the top 100, and that's assuming that there's enough PhD photographers out there to compete.
Oh, wow.
Um,
You're a
I may
PhD
be much
photographer?
closer to the top even, because I doubt many people go on eBay and hunt down books by the original lens designers and makers and see how they did it, and then find the books on how to learn photography that were written in
Right.
1910. I have a book on how to learn photography in the early 1900s, and I took lessons from that. And I've actually I then found free copies online because the books are so old, the ebooks, and I posted those books in the file section of my subscription group so people could go through and they can use the photographic exercises that people used to learn in 1900. They can use those today, and they still
Right.
apply and they still work.
Wow. That is amazing.
I get a little into the weeds on everything, but that's my strength. Is
Right.
I want to understand why everything works as well, and
Right.
that's why I can get the nice dog picture on the fly. I mean, I had another dog picture I took. A lady asked if she could paint my picture, like the picture of the dog, and I said, sure, go ahead and paint the picture. And then she sent me a picture of her painting, and I mean, it turned out wonderfully.
Right.
A lot of photographers, they'll be like, well, how much are you going to pay me? Like, well, this is someone I'm teaching already. I could try and make a little bit of money, but does it hurt me to kind of throw someone a bone every now and then? No.
Right. Right.
So here's the
Okay.
original
So
picture.
how does you
So
are
that's
a
the original picture. You can't really see it too well, but
I
here
see it.
is the painting. And then okay, there we go.
Wow. Very good.
So
It's
what's your
pretty
next
good.
question? I know you got more to ask me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So you're a professional photographer. Does your group directly help your business offline?
I keep them separate, and I have to do so because of the trolls. If they find my next, because I actually closed down my professional pages on Facebook because of internet trolls, um,
Uh-huh.
and I since have other pages.
Right.
I keep them separate because even though I can get lots of positiveness from group members, the fact is that the most likely people to go in and leave bad reviews. I got some. I had one dude leave me a 1-star review on my pro page for shooting. Right, has nothing to do with it with the Facebook group, and his reason is I said he had a bad lens. I didn't work for you. You didn't pay me.
There you.
So I tell everyone, be very careful about mixing the two, because
Right.
internet trolls are unavoidable in the modern era, and it's getting worse, not better. And
Right.
the best way to deal with it, I've found, is to establish a Facebook page to run your group, and then start using that for a lot of your communication. So when they go to get all pissed off on you, they're going to get pissed off on that page.
On the page. Right.
Um,
Right. And then that's separate from your business.
yep.
Right. So do you gain anything besides helping people from your group?
Well, I mean, I gained the subscription group, which I get paid
Right.
monthly. I'm
See,
making about 24,000 a year on that.
oh wow, and that's okay. That's nice. But doesn't Facebook have two subscriptions, a $5 one and
They have
$20?
more. They have three options: 4.99, 9.99, and 19.99. And I got to pick which one I wanted. And while I could have picked the 19.99, and I probably would be making more because I think I got enough loyalty, um, I did not want to price anyone out of photography. And then the other problem is the real benefit is long-term mentoring. Yeah, the lessons are great, but anyone who tells you you can learn photography in 12 weeks is full of crap and they're lying to you, period. I'm still learning. The
Right.
learning never stops. The real benefit is having people like me and people like Romeo Giovanni, who's in there, who is shot for major publications. People in there. Amy Short's another really good one. Her children photography is amazing. These are pros that have combined. I probably have a century's worth of experience in that group, and you can ask them questions and they'll answer you and they'll be detailed and they'll help walk you through things. That's the real benefit. Is the learning stuff is great, but the mentoring, that's where you're getting your money's worth. But since people don't realize what that's worth, I have it set the lowest price Facebook would allow me, and if they would let me lower it further, I would today. I would lower it to 99 cents.
Wow.
Absolutely. And yeah, I would get more members from volume, but I'd probably lose some money for at least a while.
Right.
But I don't like the idea of pricing people out of photography. I
Right.
tell people, you're buying me a Starbucks a month because I've set the price so low. And that was a conscious decision on my part. And I also have made everything available the second you're in for your free trial. I don't try to put anything behind a paywall. You could get in there, you could download everything, and you can walk off with it. And
Right.
that's cool, but you're not getting the benefit. The real benefit is staying there.
Right.
And if you're not
S-
going to stay there anyways, you might as well get the best you can.
Right. But if you would price it at 20 or even higher, it could be you would get even more people because it could be someone looks at the price of $5 a month and just thinks right away
You're
it can't be
right,
that
and
great.
I have thought that occasionally, and I think that there's a lot to that. The problem is, I would be I would be pricing people out who don't have the money, who can't afford it, who can barely afford a camera, and that's not why I got into this. I got into this to help people, and I think in the end, uh, from a business perspective, I think in the end, I bet you I make more on volume. I will in the end
Uh-huh.
because the growth will keep going up, and when I finally get the videos out, uh, that's going to bring more people. And it's easy to fire and forget at $5 a month. It's harder to fire and forget $20 a month. So I think that not only is it a smarter business decision to price it cheaper in the long term, I would make more in the short term with the higher amount, but in the long term, I have 115,000 people across my groups. In my main group, I have almost 100,000 people. I was going to hit 100,000 this month if coronavirus hadn't hit.
Right.
So 100,000 people, they're paying me $5 a month, which I know will never happen, but that's $500,000 a month. So per year, that's 6 million. I don't know. I was a Marine, so I'm not good at math.
Right.
But the
You'll take
reality
that.
is, if a small fraction of my groups join, I'll be able to retire.
So how long have you had your subscription group?
I've had it for around a year.
A year.
I've
And
been actually putting a lot of work into it. I'd say the last 3-4 months. It sat there for a while. I didn't really do much with it, and so it was only at 150 members paying me just to pay me, I guess. Um, but when I finally had the time to put in, I started building the lessons. I mean, they still had the access to me, of course, uh, the 150 people. But I mean, I really didn't do anything for months as I tried to figure out how I wanted to go about it.
right.
So, there's a lot to be said for the loyalty I've generated over the years. And I mean, when I post to my page and I share it across two groups, my main one and probably my Canon one, my page, my post reach approaches that of news publications for photography, and I'd say the big personalities of YouTube for photography, at least this month I've killed them all.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and if you go on YouTube, you'll notice everyone sold their soul to Squarespace. Every single one of them. They advertise this for Squarespace, and they all have their sponsors, and that's how they're making their money. And I actually don't have a problem with the sponsor thing so much. I don't like affiliate links because you're offering me gear advice, but you're making a buck off the advice.
Right,
I
right.
have
It
more of a
is a
problem with
little bit.
that, but all of them use that. So I understand that's how they're making money, and that's their maybe that's their primary role in life. But that's not how I'm doing business. And
Right.
in the end, I think I'm going to take over anyways.
I hear. I
I
hope you
mean,
do.
I have enough reach. The second I launch a YouTube, I'm going to have it's going to shoot. It's going to shoot up the charts. I got plenty of viewers just waiting.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I control the group's worth of 115,000 people. I just need to, the only thing that stopped me is I'm not going to make your, vlog or whatever the heck people want to call it. No, I found a filmmaker. If I'm going to make videos, they're going to be Hollywood. They're going to be professional. They're going to be, actual, well thought out, produced videos, and they're going to cost me money to produce.
And
And I'm going to have to bank that people will come join my lessons group as a result of that, and I'll make my money back. And I haven't even, it's not going to be cheap, I'm sure.
right. Wow.
I may
But
barter some lenses.
so you're going to be making YouTube videos and link them to your group?
Well, I don't know if necessarily if I'm going to put them on YouTube yet. I haven't determined the best way to put them out. I may put them out through Facebook because, why if I don't want to sell myself out to Squarespace. And I know YouTube likes to put ads on everything, and I can't control necessarily whose ads they would be. And I would only want ads of something I believe in.
Right.
Just me. If I don't like that product, I don't want advertising
Right.
on my video. Where if I put it across Facebook, I have to pay Facebook to spread it around, which is annoying. If Facebook wanted to make money off of me, because when I did the lessons group, the subscription group, I said they can take up to 30%, and they haven't taken anything yet. But if they want to take that 30%, I'm fine with it. Just don't charge me to advertise my thing. Help me.
Right.
You put in your effort, Facebook, and I'll help make you more money by you helping me make more money, and it'll be this great positive circle. All I need is Facebook to realize that. They haven't quite realized that, and I think that's to detriment of their business plan for this. They could make a lot more money if they focused on the advertising aspect. Because right now, I mean, I'm doing all the work, and that's fine. I'm doing all the work, and I got over 400 people. Now, Facebook has more reach than I have. How many people would I have if Facebook got involved? And then, if they're taking a percentage, I bet you we both make more money.
Right.
Off of volume.
Right. 100%. So you're not against having advertisers, but you
As
don't
long
have
as they're people that I believe in. If I'm advertising for a piece of equipment, that's fine. If I believe in that piece of equipment, and I'm not going to
right.
make, and I mean, if I've been continuously advertising for, Canon full frame cameras, and I have. I love Canon full frame cameras. I recommend them all the time. If Canon approaches me and they say, hey, can we run an ad for Canon full frame cameras? I'll say sure. If they ask, can we run an ad for your Canon cameras? I'll say no, because you make plenty of junk I don't want you to sell.
But would you take money for that?
For Canon full frame cameras, I don't know. I don't think I would. I think I would I would let them pay, but then I would put the money towards a charity or something.
Because you don't want to take any money for
I don't
or
want there to ever be
recommending.
the perception that my view on a piece of equipment can't be trusted. Perception is something we say in the military. Perception is reality. If someone thinks I'm making a buck off my recommendation, then they're wondering, well, can I trust that recommendation, or is he just trying to make a buck? And it's not a lot of money. It's like 99 cents or something. I don't need that 99 cents that bad. I would rather them know that I'm doing my best to give objective advice. So yeah, if there were an advertiser running on like a YouTube video, and it was, even if it was someone I approved, I would want to have it, and I would make it very public so they could see the money flow going to charity. Like right now, I'd probably go to CDC. There's a number of charities that are doing very well in terms of the coronavirus response, and that's where I put the money. It's like, I mean, you can see on my page, the first post
Right.
is my proposal to try and raise money for coronavirus, and I'm not going to make anything off that.
Right. So you wouldn't allow any advertisements, let's say if you had a TV show or anything, so you would only
I mean,
allow.
networks control that, not me.
Right.
If it were a television show, I can control the internet stuff. I can't control the television
Right.
stuff.
But I'm just saying, you were the network. You wouldn't allow advertisements because you're
I
making
wouldn't
money from
allow,
that.
if I'm going out in front of people and giving advice, and I want them to take me seriously, I want it. But I mean, if I were a network, I would have all sorts of shows. It's a different setup. If, you know, if I had, say, a YouTube show where I'm
Yeah.
recommending and reviewing new equipment, I would never use affiliate links, and I would never put any advertising for any of that equipment beyond my review on that. Like, there wouldn't be an ad from Canon if I'm reviewing a Canon camera that's going to pop up. I wouldn't want to
Right.
allow that.
Right.
Because everything should be objective, and there's plenty of guys that do that, and I'm sure they make tons of money. If you ever watch Fro Knows Photo, that dude markets himself like no one else. It is the most cartoonish thing I've ever seen. I will say though, all his advice has been spot on. Like, I've gone through it all. He's good at what he does, and his information is very good. I will never fault him on that. I do not feel the same way about Anthony Northrup, who's I think the big guy on YouTube for photography. I think he's a hack. I think he gives a lot of half truths, and I think he tries to stir up controversy with half truths to build viewership and membership to make more money. And I think that's immoral to me. I'm not gonna.
Right. But they both take money.
Yeah, but it's not the money aspect that for Anthony Northrup that makes me think poorly on him. It's the fact that
Right.
he puts out half truths or things that I consider not true or not backed by science as a way to stir up controversy for additional views. And because of that, people go out and they spend money listening to him that they didn't need to spend. And that's my
Right.
issue with that.
100%.
It's an
100%.
integrity thing.
Yes, 100%. I agree with you in principle, 100%, that if you take money for a recommendation, it does get, you cannot be a witness
And
if
I
you're getting
actually,
paid.
I suspect that a majority of the YouTube reviews for any new camera equipment are paid for by the brand. And an example, I'll use Anthony Northrup as an example. He gave a review for the Canon 80D, saying how bad it was. Ripped this camera apart. Shortly thereafter, a second review. This was the title. I was wrong. Canon 80D, best vlog camera in the world. And I'm just like, really? How much did Canon pay you? They didn't pay you the first time and you were pissed off. But that second time, someone
No
got a
way.
check.
Okay, fine. Oh, wow. So, but what about the first guy? His opinions you do trust, even though he does take money. So I'm just trying to point out that you're right. You
Well,
are
I verified his information. And everything he puts out, as far as I can tell, has been both truthful and informative. And his business model has been successful. But I have not seen him go against anything that I would consider integrity, not once.
Right.
Every single thing he puts out has been honest, and I have a great deal of respect because he could probably make more if he were dishonest, and I respect that he's not.
right.
And
So if he could pull it off, maybe you could also.
I probably could. And perhaps someday that could happen. I don't think so. It depends on what income level I reach on my current, I guess you'd say, business model. I think the potential is higher with what I'm doing now than any of them.
Right.
Because
So To create your
it's
group, your
yes.
subscription.
Yeah, because I think the subscription group will make more money if you can get more members. And since I have 115,000 members already, good luck catching up.
Right. Right.
I've got a lot. There are. I have one of the largest groups on Facebook for photography, and there's at least one website that recommended us as the first group you join, and I mean my reach is substantial, and I say most of the YouTubers don't even know I exist, to their detriment,
Right.
because there's a lot of stuff they could learn from me.
Right. 100%. So you're
Like,
all in on integrity,
mhm.
and the dollars will come later.
Well, dollars are coming now.
Dollars are coming now, but
It's been consistently going up until coronavirus. And in
right.
fact, right now, I'm probably making more money off photography than 99% of photographers in the world,
Because you have your group, right?
because it's been resilient.
Right.
And right now, no one is hiring a photographer, period. We're talking the entire I see pro kits on eBay every day. The industry is shut down.
Right. So,
I know individuals that do television shows up in New York for like the Hase Manaj show. Like I know one of the lighting guys. He's not working. Like the entire acting industry is pretty much out of work. All those SNL shut down. Everything's shut down. So there's a lot of people that aren't making money, but I am.
right, because you're teaching.
Yep.
You're teaching.
You always need people to teach.
Right. Right. Even though
And
those
I
people
mean,
right
I
now are
teach,
not
I
making.
shoot, and I'm always looking to expand. But when I do change or add to my business model, uh, I want to do it thoughtfully.
Right.
So
Right.
I haven't
Right.
determined how I'm going to do the video thing yet. I'm still looking at all the different possibilities, and I could change my mind and allow ads, and I'll probably put a disclaimer that says, I didn't pick the ad, so I wouldn't
Right.
trust it. Trust me, trust
Right.
not the
You could
ad,
do
and they're gonna
affiliate
hate me for
links.
that.
You could do affiliate links and put a disclaimer on the bottom that I'm giving you my honest opinion, what I think, even
No, because
though.
a lot of people do that, and it won't be me. I will never use affiliate links.
Right.
Exceptions, you're blowing a bunch of money if you buy new. Because right
Right.
now the used camera market is amazing. I can get a camera for $400 that'll beat anything you could buy new for under 1,000.
Oh wow.
For 400. Destroy it, low light, it'll do everything.
Oh wow. Okay, really cool. So let me just think if I have any other questions for you. So let me get this straight. Let me just like restructure our conversation. You're awesome. Period.
Most of the
Two.
time, people think I'm an old man for my advice, by the way.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, there are plenty of people that have never seen me that they assume I'm like 80 because I sound grumpy. It's like, no, I was just a
Right.
Marine.
No, it's just
That's total.
That's
That's
great.
totally the only reason I was a Marine.
That's great.
And from that, um, maybe I come off as grumpy. It's just I'm very direct, and
Right. You're
you
just
know,
blunt.
yeah, I'm very blunt. I'm
Right.
not. I don't think I'm an asshole. I'm blunt. I'm honest, and then I will help anyone that comes to me. Period.
Right. 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 So you started a group which you shut down, and then you got onto this group which was at 15,000, but it was junk,
Well,
right?
no, this group wasn't bad because it was mainly because of the moderators. It was still very new. As photography groups go, a very small group's about 15,000. I'd say average probably 30,
Mhm.
and then the big ones when they start to self-destruct around 60, and that's because they either have multiple admins or they don't have they don't have post approval on, and they don't realize what that's going to cause. So
Right.
you can find groups that have 100,000 people, and you can go join them, and you can go look at them out of spam in them. And that's the problem, is people can't get the help they need because the
Right.
spam just overrides everything.
Right. Right. And how do you make sure that each person gets helped?
Well, I mean, anyone who contacts me will get help from me directly, but every single post that is submitted has to be approved, and it has to fit guidelines. If it doesn't fit those guidelines, it just gets declined. You don't even get a
Out.
message because there's too many people for us to send messages to every person that gets declined. We decline probably 90% of posts, and because it's usually, here's a picture of my cat, and no one
Right.
cares. We're not here for that. We're here to
Right.
learn.
Right.
It's a learning group. There are plenty of groups, and I've actually thought about making a group solely for people to drop their images I've thought about that numerous times, but there are plenty of those groups out there.
Right. And for engagement, for let's say there there is no focus on that. Focus is on people learning, and that's it.
Engagement, how?
Meaning like to get to know each other. I mean, to the extreme, people say, "How's everyone doing today?" That's the extreme. I've seen more.
That
Um,
occurs within posts because you can follow the guidelines and incorporate that. What, for example, what are you shooting during the lockdown? Here's my day. Here are a couple of my shots. What do you think? Here are the settings. Settings are a requirement,
so
and
within
that
the
will make it.
requirements,
Yeah.
people,
Oh
you know,
yeah. It's only when people don't read the rules that they can't get their posts approved,
right,
or if they're
right.
trying to, I don't allow Instagrams except in one thread. I have a single post that I allow Instagrams in because otherwise it'll overwhelm everything. I
Mhm.
also don't want people to think they can come in and advertise their Instagram. So they can post it once in that one thread.
Right,
Otherwise, not allowed.
right, right,
You got to be very strict about this, or you'll lose control of it, and it won't benefit people. It'll just
right,
become talking heads.
right. Spammy.
Yep.
Okay, very
And
cool.
I would say ours is the largest group that doesn't have that problem. Honestly, we might be the only one. I mean, every now and then we go check out the other ones, and it makes me flinch. Some of them, and a lot of them, they started because there's one like photography for true beginners. Well, what that is people who yelled at me because I gave advice, and so I kicked them out when they pissed me off. So the beginners started a beginners group. Now, I know we've all heard about the blind leading the blind, but that's how it happens.
Right,
Like they don't. There are people that don't seem to realize if you want to not be a beginner forever, you have to go to somewhere where you can learn. This
right,
is for
right,
beginners to grow, not to stay
right.
beginners.
Right. So I've spoken to people who started groups as a beginner, but they didn't pretend to be the authority,
Yep,
meaning they started a group. I spoke to a guy named Ed Hurlberg. He started a group on RVs because he had questions about RVs, and then before you
and
know
that's
it,
fine. Yeah,
he has a tremendous community of everyone helping each other, and then over
but
time you become the expert because
exactly.
you're learning from everyone, and then 2 years later you're in a different spot.
I've learned more by running these groups than I knew before. I mean,
Right.
I took one photography class in college. That's it. And beyond that, I've been self-taught, and I've learned more by having to research answers for people for questions I don't know the answer to. That now I know a great deal of answers, not everything. I'll never claim to be, the most knowledgeable photographer. 'Cause I'm sure there's plenty, especially at the
Right.
high end, especially some of the old film guys. They blow me away. But compared to the average pro, oh, I know a lot more.
Right.
It's because
Right.
I've
So
had to answer questions.
right. So their mistake is pretending to be the expert before they actually are, thinking, because there is a
It
big
wasn't
movement.
even that. Their mistake, and this is really sad to me. Their mistake is that they felt that because they were a beginner, they should always be a beginner and they should stay a beginner and they should never learn. So they started a beginners group for
Well, not
beginners to stay
not
beginners.
consciously. They most probably did not think that consciously.
No, I think consciously they felt, oh, I'm not trying to be serious. I'm just, a beginner. They actually want to stay at their current level. And all they wanted was people to say that's a nice picture of their cat or something. When
Right.
it
They want
actually
to just get
wasn't a nice
approved.
picture because they didn't put any effort and they didn't learn how to take the picture.
Right. Right.
It's not my fault.
How dare you? How
Oh, they
dare
get
you?
mad. Oh, the hate thrown at us on a daily basis. On a daily basis. The insults and the private message, the hate,
Oh
it's
man.
constant. We just
Okay,
ignore it. We
fine.
laugh about it. We take screenshots of the good stuff.
All right, really cool. So one second, let me just think what else. So you grew the group by just helping people, which
Yep.
is I think the best way to grow a group on a solid foundation.
Well, you have to help people, but you also have to be willing to do research into your answers. So you're
To
not
help,
just,
that's
yeah, so
helping. Yeah.
because you're not only learning and growing yourself, but you want to be able to make sure your answer is right. Never assume
Right.
you have the right answer. Always hunt down the science behind any answer,
Right.
because plenty of pros give advice that held true in the film era, so they think it holds true now,
And then it
and it
changes
doesn't,
and changes, right?
because the science changed a little going from film to digital. Pixels are not film. People think they are, they're not. There are
Right.
some small differences. Film's about 12 megapixels for
Right.
35 millimeter.
Some people who don't have as large group as yours also, create groups to teach and get paid, but they take people off of Facebook to
Yeah,
process the payment
there's a
and
lot
then
of
back.
that. And I had people for years tell me I should get a patron for that. And to me, it would have been adding another level of complexity onto an already complex world I got to ride herd on. So by Facebook coming out with the subscription groups, they did me a real favor.
Right.
And even if they took 30%, I'll never complain, because I wouldn't have any of that money if they hadn't done that.
Right. You
Because
were never willing to do
yeah,
that.
yeah, because the amount of effort it would have taken. They handle all my bookkeeping. I don't have to worry about money. They handle the money. I help the
Mm.
people. So
Right.
I don't have to really care about the money. If someone
Right. Right.
disappears, well, they didn't pay their bill.
Well, it's not
Um,
overly complicated, by the way. You could set up a simple website and just have people
then
pay
I got
you,
to
and then
set
you
up
have
a
a
simple
strike.
website. I got to run it, and then I got
No,
to
you
get
don't
people
really
to
have.
leave Facebook to go to it. And I bet you I would make a lot less money because people don't want to leave Facebook, to go to another page. Facebook makes it convenient. It's a
Facebook
far
makes
better
it
platform
convenient,
for that.
right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't tell someone that they have to wait for Facebook to invite them to be part of the exclusive membership groups.
Oh no. In fact, Amy Short, one of our moderators, who's just amazing in her work, has had her own subscription group outside of Facebook for years now, and I've sent people there because she's so talented. She's an extremely talented photographer.
I'm sure she does well.
I don't know. I mean, I've never asked. I mean, she's a moderator in both the subscription group and in my other Facebook groups, and she likes helping people, and she's extremely knowledgeable. And I'm glad to have her around. Good friend
Okay,
too.
great. I would love to hear from her how she pulls that off.
I
So
mean, it'd probably be easy enough to arrange.
yeah,
I can get you in touch with her, but it's not a Facebook subscription group.
it's
It,
off of Facebook, right?
yeah, she doesn't
But
have
she
a Facebook subscription group.
but she has a group on Facebook which people pay her to be a part of the group.
No,
Oh
she has
no,
I think she has like a forum set up.
off of Facebook.
Yeah, it's very old school.
She could do a much better job by just
If
running it on
Facebook gave her
Facebook.
a subscription group, I think she would make, quite a bit of money doing that.
I mean, she should just do everything she's doing except bring her forum onto Facebook. That's
Well,
what people
Facebook
do.
hasn't offered her a subscription group.
Right, but she could charge them off of Facebook just like she's doing now, and then
She may do that. I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't really inquired too much, and
uh-huh, uh-huh.
she, you know,
All right, cool.
that's kind of her business. I don't tend to dig into other people's business
Right.
too much. If I could get her a Facebook subscription group, I would. But there's no avenue for me to say, hey, Facebook, you want to do this?
Right. Now you don't speak to Mark on the weekends?
No, 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 no. I think they're missing a step in some of the subscription group stuff, because they're missing opportunities in a few areas. The advertising is an opportunity. I would pay
Right.
them a fee monthly if they were doing advertising for me, putting my stuff out there. And low level advertising like that would make them so much money.
They do
And
have
they don't even
Facebook
think about it.
ads,
Hmm?
but they do have the option of doing a
Yeah,
Facebook
but
ad.
you pay by ad. You have to design the ad. I'm saying I want them to do the whole thing for me and a monthly fee, and they could set it up as a formula, and they could make it really, really easy for them.
Right.
Take them 5 minutes to do, and then they can make a monthly fee. So they're kind of missing a step on that, but eventually I think they're going to actually figure that out, and then
Mhm.
they'll make more money.
Okay,
I,
really
they,
cool.
they need to hire some outside the box thinkers, I
They
think.
got
I
they
don't
have
want
you
them to become
hired.
Apple or anything.
Oh. They have you hired. So you're outside of the box. I mean, I don't know if you're really considered hired, but I'm sure you get them money somehow. indirectly or directly?
I'm sure, and I'm sure I make Canon annually thousands and
Yeah,
thousands and
yeah, I'm
thousands of
sure.
dollars, and
All free,
they don't even send me a camera to review.
right? But you wouldn't take it anyways.
I would review. I would review their camera, and I would send it back, and I would have no ad on at all, and I would just give my thoughts. And they better hope it's a good camera,
Right.
because otherwise they're gonna hate my review.
Oh,
Because I
that's
don't pull
right.
any punches.
Okay, that's great. That's why 96,000 people trust you.
Yep,
115,000 people.
exactly. It's all about integrity.
Right, right. And God willing, you're gonna make it back. You're gonna make back all the cheap affiliate purchases you passed up on. And
I
even if you
mean,
don't, I'm not totally against someone doing affiliate links. I do recommend people to do it. I do understand that when someone gets paid for something, their integrity does slip a little
yeah,
bit.
it's what direction are you going to approach a problem? For me, I want to make sure that I can be trusted.
Right.
That's my priority. More
Right. That is your
so
number one. Most
than
people just
money.
want to make money.
Yes, money's not
Oh,
my priority. Money's kind of
right.
happened by accident. If I hadn't noticed that email in my spam, I wouldn't be making a dime. Well, not
Right.
off this. And
Yeah.
I would still be doing my other groups.
Right.
So, Facebook's enabled me to get paid for stuff I'm already doing. So I've had to take things to the next level. So I produced, fairly detailed
Right.
assignments and lessons
Yeah.
weekly. Like I had to put in more work now,
I'm
but
sure
I'm
you could
getting paid.
charge a pretty penny. It was probably at least 2,000 a month for your, I don't know, I haven't seen your subscription group, but I could just imagine what happens there because you're over delivering. I'm sure if you charge 2K a month, you would have a nice amount of clients, but you want to be able to help everyone.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think I'm pulling in. Yeah, well, because of coronavirus, I have taken a hit. So I think I'm down to 1,500 a month. Uh, it was over 2 grand a month.
Uh-huh.
Um, but then especially I started telling people, look, there's a post in there about it. If you're gonna leave, okay, because you can't afford it, send me a message first, and I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna make it free for the duration of this.
That's
And
really nice.
I've done that to quite a few members. And if they forget to tell me that I made them free, I'll never know because
Right.
I'll forget. I haven't kept track of it, so that's gonna be on them. But I would rather take a financial hit, especially if I'm going to take one anyways, but be able to give something back and let them stay. I think that's a better investment. And
Right.
I think the loyalty will pay off in the end.
I think it will also. Not everyone has so much patience. But you did work in, you are a Marine, so you are
Yep.
different than most people. So, okay, really cool. All right, so thank you very much. I think we covered everything. And if we didn't, I have your messenger, you know,
Yep. You can
I
hit
could
me up
ask
at
you.
any time.
Uh, uh,
If you ever want to kind of get a look inside that group, I can add you.
okay, sure, maybe we'll do
I
that.
got to add you to my friends list to make it free. So I can do that after this is over. You go in, take a look through the files. Yeah,
All
you'll
right,
see
and then,
examples of lessons. If you want to kind of show people what right looks like in terms of instead of doing a lot of people rely too much on video. The problem is not everyone learns well from video. And when you have complicated concepts and you need to break it down, you need to have your papers. Back in the day, you'd have your little handout. Well, I use PowerPoint to build lessons, and then because I don't want them edited after the fact, I save them as PDF. So there are a series of PDFs in there by me, and there are also documents by Romeo Giovanni and others in there. And I even have some going back 100 years where I've tracked down the ebooks, the scans. So if anyone
uh-huh.
is interested in learning some of the history, they can, no cost. All of that's in there. So I'll add you, take a look at it, and
Sure,
don't
that'll be great.
don't post them, but you can anything you want to
Right,
take a screenshot from any of them, even multiple from the same lesson. I'm not going to have a problem with it
right, right. I'm
because
not into photography, so you don't have
yeah.
to worry about me doing anything.
Well,
Unless
no,
like
I
I enter
mean,
in and then I'll be like, oh my gosh, I gotta get into this.
well,
But,
and then if you have any friends who are interested in the photography, you can send them copies if you want. I don't have a problem with that. I just
right.
don't want them, everywhere on the internet.
Right, right,
Um, I put a lot of work into them, and I think I've managed to put together something to help people avoid the usual pitfalls I see. People make the same mistakes, and usually over time they make the same mistakes, and some of those mistakes will hold people up 2 years before they make any progress until they realize their mistake.
right,
So now
right,
I can get them past that right now,
right,
and they've saved 2 years, and
right.
they never realize I've done that. They never realize, you don't know what you don't know, so they don't realize that I've seen a trend, and that they're avoiding this trend because of what I put together,
Right.
but they are.
Right, really cool. Would you consider doing like being would you consider being a consultant for a monthly fee? I'm saying that is sort of what your group is,
Well,
but if
for
you would be someone's
photography,
personal
or
consultant, yeah, for photography, you could charge an arm and a leg.
if someone asked me to, I would do it. But here's the problem: when someone asks me a question, I never answer how much. I always give them the answer, detailed. And that's just me. I like helping people. But if I've had people. In fact, I had people when I made others free because of coronavirus. I had people send me money via PayPal because they wanted to pay for their subscription. It'd be
Mhm.
nice if Facebook had a setup to where people could actually put that into a fund, like, and make it formal, so I don't have to like think things through in my head.
Right.
But that's the kind of community I put together, is they're looking out for each other,
Wow, it's
and I like
beautiful.
it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's maybe the nicest thing, I mean, you take nice pictures, but your group
Well, a
might
lot
be
of
the
people
nicest
can. I
product.
tell you, and there's so many asshole photographers out there.
Period, not just
Like,
photographers.
they have the God complex about them, right? They're never they got that kind of. I almost think of them as, and it sounds bad, but if you've ever worked with someone who was a really really high level engineer of electrical or
Yeah.
RF engineer or something, they get a certain type of personality where they're arrogant. Some of them do, not all of them. Some of them do.
A
A lot
know-it-all
of
knows
photographers.
everything. A
What's that?
know-it-all knows, I just have to interrupt with this, that a know-it-all knows everything except for how annoying he is.
Yes. So a lot of
Dimitri
them get
Martin. It's not
you
my
get
line.
that. Yeah, you get that arrogance,
Right.
and they don't realize they come off as assholes. I know what I know, and I know I don't know everything.
Right.
So I'm very sure when I give a statement, but I'll also say, if they ask me something that addresses it in a different, like, and I don't know this, I'll tell them, I don't know. Give me a few minutes, and I will go off into the internet and I will research the problem, and I will bring back all my research and give that to them as well, and say, well, I learned something new, and this is where I learned it from, and this is how we can verify it. So, you, you know, there's so many arrogant photographers. You'll see them too. You'll see plenty of examples where you go on YouTube and look at something. You see them; they come off as arrogant. Like, man, I would hate to be that guy's friend. He would
Right.
not be my friend. Um, and I've tried the opposite. I stay me. I'm pretty humble, but I'm knowledgeable, and I'm good at retaining large quantities of data in my head. It's just who I am.
Right.
Always have been.
Okay, great. All right, awesome. So I'll catch you. I have the holidays coming up, so I'll catch you with
Yep.
the groups after, like it's gonna be like in a week and a half or a week. So I would definitely want to look into that.
Well,
So
you have
okay.
yourself a good holiday then.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You go by Bill or William?
Usually I go by Bill. So where are you out of?
Where am I out of?
Yeah, where are you out
Where
of?
do I live? Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn. I got some buddies up there. Yeah, you ever need some pictures? Next time I'm up there, I'll hook it up.
All right,
So
thank you. Thanks. Where
give
are
you
you
some
from?
good, like, work photos, or if you have family photos, either or.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I have a family, so that's
Yeah,
cool.
I can hook it up. I've been meaning to go up there because I've never been to the 9/11 memorial, and on 9/11 I was at boot camp. So I
Hmm.
mean, it was weird because I never saw any of the news, and I never saw the newspapers. It was Marine
Oh,
Corps boot
wow.
camp. But then I've been involved in that war for the next like 18 years, like
Yeah.
multiple tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, over the years. The events of 9/11 have greatly affected my life. I've never been to the memorial, and it's something I've been meaning to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you'll get blown away by it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll bring my
Uh,
camera.
Okay, very good. All right. So I'll catch up with you again after my holidays,
Sounds
Passover.
good.
And you take care of yourself. Where are you from?
Well, I'm originally from Los Angeles, but now I'm out of the DC area, so I'm not too far away. So
Okay,
if you ever
no.
come down to DC, shoot me a line.
All right, for sure. We'll do.
Because
So,
there are better locations down here. Because you go to like the Lincoln Memorial and you get some really nice pictures. In fact, I'm gonna put one last picture up here for you that I did uh, for of Lady Justice as the theme, where I went down to the Lincoln Memorial. And it turned out really, really cool. And let's see, I did it for some midterm election propaganda. I mean, it is what it is. Okay, here we go. Okay. So you can't
oh
really see
wow.
the whole picture,
Yeah, but I see.
but yeah, I like how it turned out. I really need to redo it though, because I could do a better job now. It's been a couple of years,
Right,
and you're never satisfied with your work as a photographer ever. You're always, or you should be. Any artist should be their worst critic. Period. I don't care if you paint, sculpt. You should only see the flaws because you'll never get better otherwise.
right,
So I see plenty of things wrong with this picture. I still like it, but I know I could do better now.
right. I'm sure you could, even though by my standards, this is way above me.
I mean, I spent over a decade learning this stuff. So,
Right. Okay, really cool.
you put in the time, you put in the time.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Wow. Unbelievable.
Well,
Okay, fine. Thank you very much, Bill, for your time.
it's been fun,
You,
man. You have yourself a
yeah,
good one.
yeah, you too. Take care. We'll speak. We'll be in touch.
Sounds good. Bye.
Take care. Bye.